Welcome to my channel. I hope you like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to crochet these little pants, trousers, or little leggings for baby boys and girls. I made them to match the Snowdrop baby blanket along with the Leo Snowdrop baby cardigan and baby hat. In the information box, I'll go ahead and leave you links to those tutorials along with the links to my Etsy shop where you can find the written patterns. Now, these little pants, like I said, are for 0 to 3 months, but you can easily make them smaller or bigger from a newborn size and up to 24 months using standard baby pants measurements that I'm going to leave in the information box. So make sure to check that out. Now, to make these little pants, this is the yarn that I used. This is DK weight yarn, but you can also use any number 3 yarn or 8 ply. For the little pants for 0 to 3 month size, I used a total of 90 grams, about 76 grams in blue and about 14 grams in white. Depending on the size that you make, you may need less or more. Okay, let's get started. Don't forget to subscribe and activate the notifications bell. Thank you so much for watching. To begin, I'll be using this 3.5mm crochet hook, and today I'm using this DK weight yarn. You can also use any number 3 or 8 ply. At the beginning of the video, I showed you the yarn that I'm using, and I told you how much yarn we're going to need for the size that we're making. Now, I'm making these baby pants to match this little sweater. This is the Leo Snowdrop baby sweater, and this is the Leo Snowdrop baby hat. I have the matching baby blanket as well, so I'll go ahead and leave that in the information box. So here, to begin, I'm going to be following standard size measurements to make these baby pants. I'll go ahead and leave you that information in the information box. Now, I'm going to be making the 0 to 3 month size. For the 0 to 3 month size, the waist needs to be about 40 centimeters, which is about 15.75 inches. I have my chain ready here. I have 78 chains, and my chain is measuring about 41 centimeters. It's a little bit over 40 centimeters, and I'm going to leave it like this because it needs to be in multiples of 3. So make sure that whatever number you put here on your initial chain, it's in multiples of 3. Divide that number by 3, and whatever number you get, it needs to be in multiples of 2. So here, for example, let me show you what I mean. I have 78 chains divided by 3. It gives me 26, which is what I want. I'm going to have 26 shells for the body of the baby pants, and then it's going to be easier to separate for legs. So here, to begin, like I said, I have 78 chains. The first thing that we need to do is we need to join to the first chain. This is going to be the waistband. So we're going to join here in the circle, and I'm going to grab a loop here and bring it through. Make sure that this chain is not twisted. Now, to begin, I'm going to chain 1. Insert your hook back again into that first chain and make a half double crochet. Half double crochet into the next chain, half double crochet into the next chain, and so on. This is how I'm going to continue for the rest of this first row. I forgot to mention that I'm going to make the waistband in this white color, and then I'm going to continue with the blue for the rest of the baby pants, and then the cuffs I'm going to also use the white. I'll meet you at the end of this first row. I'm here at the end of this first row. I have 78 half double crochets, not including the chain here at the beginning. To finish, go on top of the first half double crochet and join with a slip stitch. Now for row 2 and 3, chain 1. Beginning with the first stitch here, make a front post half double crochet. Into the second one, a back post half double crochet. Front post half double crochet into the next. Back post half double crochet into the next, and so on. This is how I'm going to continue for row 2. I'll meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of the second row. In this row, I did front post and back post half double crochets. My last stitch here is a back post. To finish, go here to the side of the chain and join with a slip stitch. Now for row 3, we're going to repeat the same thing. Chain 1, beginning with this first stitch, make a front post half double crochet. Into the next, back post half double crochet, front post half double crochet into the next, and so on. Continue like this for this third row. I will meet you at the end. I finished making the third row. Here at the end, I just joined to the beginning with a slip stitch, cut my yarn, and passed my yarn through this last loop. Now this part here is done. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to continue and work the rest of the baby pants. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn the waistband like this. This is now going to be the top of the waistband. This is row 3, and now I'm going to start from here on the rest of the baby pants. So this is optional. You can continue here by attaching your yarn here and then continue along this side. I like the way how this here looks instead of this. This is where the chains were left when we did the first row. So I rather start here. So to do this part, I'm going to go here into the first chain stitch. This is where I joined, and then I did a chain 1 and then did the first half double crochet into that same chain stitch right there. I'm going to grab a loop here, bring it through. I'm going to use this blue yarn. I'm going to continue and use the blue yarn for the rest of the baby pants. So bring a loop through, chain 3, and now make a double crochet into this same stitch, chain 1, and then a single crochet. Here I'm going to start making the first row of the pattern, which is the snowdrop stitch. The stitch multiple to this stitch pattern is multiples of 3. So here, to continue and make the second one, I'm going to skip 1, 2, and into the third stitch right here, I'm going to make the second shell. So make 2 double crochets, 1 chain, and then a single crochet. Again, skip 1, 2, and into the third stitch, make another shell. 2 double crochets, 1 chain, single crochet. Again, skip 1, 2, and into the third, make another shell. These shells are being worked in the same stitch as the half double crochet of row 1. Continue like this all around. I will meet you here at the end to show you what we need to do next. I'm here at the end of row 1 of the body of the baby pants. In this row, we started the first row of the snowdrop stitch pattern. Now to finish here at the end, we have the 3 chains into the third chain here at the top, join with a slip stitch. And this is how I finished this first row. I have 26 shells. Again, make sure that whatever number of shells you have here, it's an even number. Now for row 2, I'm going to chain 1 and turn. One thing before I do that, place a stitch marker here on this side to mark the front side of the baby pants. This is going to be the back side, and it's going to be the front. From here on, this is going to be the wrong side. To work this stitch pattern in the round, you always have to turn. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn for row 2. Row 2 is being worked on the wrong side. Row 1 was worked on the right side. To begin here, I have the first shell. In the chain space of this first shell, make a slip stitch. Now chain 3, make a double crochet in the same space, chain 1, and then work a front post single crochet into the first double crochet. Now for each remaining shell in the chain space, you're going to make 2 double crochets, chain 1, and then a front post single crochet. Again, we have the next shell in the chain space, make 2 double crochets, chain 1, and then front post single crochet. Continue like this all around for the second row. I'll meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of the second row. I have 26 shells. Now to finish each row from here on, we always go here to the beginning, into the third chain, insert your hook, and make a slip stitch. And this is how you're going to finish each row from here on. And to start each row, you always chain 1 and turn. Beginning into the first shell in the chain space here, make a slip stitch, then chain 3, a double crochet into the same stitch, chain 1, and then a front post single crochet. Now for each remaining shell in the chain space, you make 2 double crochets, chain 1, and then a front post single crochet. Again, we have the next shell in the chain space, make 2 double crochets, 1 chain, front post single crochet. And this is how you're going to continue for row 3. You're just going to repeat row 2 over and over. To finish each row, you're going to go here to the beginning on top of the 3rd chain, make a slip stitch, chain 1, turn, and then repeat the same thing. Now, I'm not sure how many rows I'm going to do here. Here, what I'm looking for is the rise measurement from the top of the waist. If you're making your pants using the measurements that I'm going to provide in the information box, you would just continue repeating the same row until you have that measurement. So continue watching. I will let you know how many rows I'm going to do here. For the 0 to 3 months, the measurement for the rise is about 15 centimeters, which is about 6 inches. So I'm just going to continue like this and continue watching. I will let you know how many rows I'm going to do here for the 0 to 3 months. So let me check the end of that row. I finished making this part. I did a total of 19 rows. From here up to here, there's 19 rows. Row 19 was worked on the right side, and it's measuring from the top of the waist to the end here. I have a measurement of about 15.5 centimeters, which is about a little over 6 inches. Now, if you're making your baby pants following standard measurements, then you're going to work this part here from the top of the waist until it measures the measurement that you need for the rise. The rise measurement is taken from the top of the waist to the end here of the last row that you need for the crutch. Make sure that whatever number of rows that you make here, you end exactly how I did on the right side, so that the next row that we do, where we separate here the legs and make the crutch here, it's done on the wrong side. Now here, before we continue, remember we have 26 shells. For the back side, I have marked 2 shells. For this leg, I have marked 11 shells. For the front, I have marked 2 shells. And for the second leg, I have marked 11 shells. So I have 11 shells for each of the legs and 2 stitches for the front and for the back of the crutch. So here, to begin, I'm going to chain 1 and turn. This row here for the crutch is being worked on the wrong side. So beginning into the first shell in the chain space, make a slip stitch. Now chain 3, then make a double crochet, chain 1, and then a front post single crochet. Now chain 2, skip 11 shells, and into the shell after the stitch marker. In the chain space, make a shell. So 2 double crochets, chain 1, and then a front post single crochet. Same thing into the next shell. To separate the second leg, chain 2, skip 11 shells, and in the chain space of the next shell here, make a shell. There. Now to finish, go on top of the 3rd chain here at the beginning and join with a slip stitch. Cut your yarn and pass your yarn through this last loop. And this part here is done, and that's how it looks. I have 2 shells for the front and 2 shells for the back. Now we're going to go here to the back side, and we're going to make this leg. So we're going to go in the chain 2 space that's between the legs, and I'm going to insert my hook from the wrong side. Row 1 of the leg is being worked on the wrong side. Now grab a loop, bring it through, chain 3. Now make a double crochet, chain 1, and then a single crochet into the same stitch, or into the same space. Now, so that there's no gap between this first shell and the first shell here for the leg, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an extra shell, and I'm going to add it right here. This is at the end of the crutch, this shell here. So in that space, insert your hook and make 2 double crochets, chain 1, and then a single crochet into the same space. Now I have the first shell for the leg in the chain space there, make a shell. Now just continue all around, just making shells. I'm here at the end of row 1 for the first leg. This row is being worked on the wrong side. I have 13 shells up to here, including these 2 that we did at the beginning. Now to finish the row, I'm going to add another shell, and I'm going to do it here at the end of these 2 shells here for the crutch. So at the end of this shell here, in the double crochet space, insert your hook and make a shell there. So just make 2 double crochets, 1 chain, and then a single crochet. Now to finish this row, go into the 3rd chain here at the beginning and join with a slip stitch. And this is how I finish row 1 for this leg with a total of 14 shells. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is here between the legs, I only added 2 chains. If you want to add more chains to add to the leg measurement, you can. What I did here is I only added 2 chains because I only plan to add 1 shell. If you add 4 chains, then go ahead and make 2 shells. If you add 6 chains, go ahead and add 3 shells, and so on. And make sure that you add a shell at the end of this shell of the crutch and a shell here at the end of this other side of the crutch. And that way you're not going to have a gap between this shell and this one here. So that's the important thing. So for every 2 shells, you make 1 shell. So here, to continue with row 2, chain 1 and turn. Beginning here in the chain space of the first shell, make a slip stitch. Now chain 3, and into this same space here, make a double crochet, chain 1, and then a front post single crochet. Now in the chain space of the next shell, same thing. This part here is the same how we did the body of the baby pants. We're just going to work this part in the round, and we're always going to have 14 shells at the end of each row. Continue. I'll meet you here at the end to once again show you how to finish each row from here on and how to start each row, since from here on you're going to continue on your own. I'll meet you at the end of this second row. I'm here at the end of the second row. I have 14 shells. Now to finish each row from here on, we're going to always go to the beginning here in the 3rd chain, insert your hook and join with a slip stitch. Now to start each row, you always chain 1 and turn. Beginning in the chain space of the first shell, make a slip stitch, chain 3, then make a double crochet, chain 1, and then a front post single crochet into the first double crochet. And then for each one of the remaining shells, you make a shell in the chain space. So 2 double crochets, chain 1, and then a front post single crochet. And this is how you're going to continue for the rest of the baby pants. Here we're going to continue until we have the leg measurement. If you're following the standard baby pants measurement, you're just going to continue and do this until you have minus 1 inch to 1.5 inches to make the cuff. Here, I'm not sure how many rows I'm going to do for my baby pants, but continue watching. I will let you know exactly how many rows I'm going to do. So continue, and I'll meet you at the end of that row. I finished making the leg. I did a total of 17 rows. Row 17 was worked on the wrong side. At the end of row 17, I cut my yarn and passed my yarn through that last loop. I'm going to make the cuff using the white yarn. Now, this part here, it's measuring about 13 centimeters, which is a little bit over 5 inches. One thing I did here is I did a total of 9 rows using the 3.5mm hook, and then I switched to a slightly smaller hook size, a 3mm hook, to give it some shape here to the bottom of the leg. Now this is optional. If you want to make the leg using the 3.5mm hook, you can do that. With the 3mm hook, I did a total of 8 rows. So 9 plus 8, that's 17 rows total for the leg. Now, the leg here, it's a tiny bit longer. You can make it shorter if you like. With the measurements that I left in the information box, you can make the leg 1 or 2 centimeters less or more. It's totally optional. Here at the end, I took a measurement before I did the last row, and it was a little bit short, so I decided to make 1 more row. So here, to start on the cuff, I'm going to use the 3mm hook. So to begin, I'm going to go here into the first shell in the chain space there, insert your hook and grab a loop. I'm using this white yarn. If you're not changing yarn color, then just go ahead and chain 1 and make a slip stitch inside the chain space of the first shell, then chain 1. Now, we're going to be working into the double crochets of each one of these shells. So we have 2 double crochets here. Make a front post half double crochet into the first one, and then a back post half double crochet into the next. We have the next shell, we have the 2 double crochets. Continue with the sequence. Front post half double crochet, back post half double crochet. We have the next one, front post half double crochet into the first double crochet, and a back post half double crochet into the second. This is how I'm going to continue all around, just alternating between front post and back post half double crochets. And again, I'm only working into the double crochets of each one of the shells, and each one of the shells has 2 double crochets like this. Continue all around. I will meet you at the end of this first row. I'm here at the end of the first row for the cuff here of the leg. Now I have a total of 28 half double crochets. To finish, we're going to go here to the side of the chain and join with a slip stitch. Now for row 2 and 3, I'm going to chain 1. Now we're going to work these stitches exactly how they are. The first stitch is a front post, so make a front post half double crochet. Next one, back post half double crochet, front post half double crochet, back post half double crochet into the next, and so on. To finish row 2, you're going to go here to the beginning, join with a slip stitch, chain 1, and then repeat the same thing for row 3. So go ahead and finish these 3 rows, and then I'll come back and show you how to make the second leg. I finished making the cuff here at the end of row 3. I just joined to the beginning with a slip stitch, cut my yarn, and passed my yarn through that last loop, and this part here is done, and this is how it looks. Continue watching. At the end of the tutorial, I always give you the finished measurements. Now we're going to make the second leg. You're going to do it exactly in the same way how we did the first leg. So I'm going to start you off here. So to begin, we're going to go here in the chain 2 space. Remember, if you added more chains here, for every 2 chains you make 1 shell here in the center. If you added 4 chains, then you make 2. If you added 6 chains, then go ahead and make 3. And don't forget to make 1 shell on either side here of the crutch. Now here to begin, chain 3, then make a double crochet, chain 1, and then a single crochet into this same space. Here's the first shell. Now we're going to make shells here at the end of the rows for the crutch here. So into this space here, insert your hook and make 2 double crochets, chain 1, and then a single crochet. Here you can also make the shell here in this space right there. I'm going to keep this consistent. I'm going to do it at the end of these 2 shells that we did for the crutch here. Now I have the first shell out of the 11 that I left for the leg. In the chain space, make a shell, 2 double crochets, 1 chain, and then a front post single crochet. Again, this first row of the second leg is being worked on the wrong side. Now I'm just going to continue all around making shells until I come here to the end. I will meet you right here to show you how we're going to finish this first row for the second leg. I'm here at the end of the first row for the second leg. This row is being worked on the wrong side. Now up to here, this is the last shell for the leg. I have 13, including the 2 that we did here at the beginning. So to finish the row, I'm going to make 1 more, and I'm going to do it here at the end of the row for the crutch. Into this double crochet there, into that space, insert your hook, and make your last shell. So make 2 double crochets, 1 chain, and then a single crochet into this same space. There, I have 14 shells now. To finish the row, we always go here to the beginning, into the 3rd chain, join with a slip stitch. And here's row 1 with 14 shells. Now for row 2, chain 1 and turn. Beginning in the chain space of the first shell, make a slip stitch. Now here, chain 3, then make a double crochet, chain 1, and then a front post single crochet into the first double crochet. And now in the chain space of each one of these shells, you make a shell. This part here is exactly the same how we did the first leg. From here on, you're going to continue on your own and finish the second leg. You're going to do it exactly in the same way how I did the first leg. For the first leg, remember, for this part here, I did a total of 9 rows using the 3.5mm hook, and then for a total of 8 rows, I used the 3mm hook, and then I did the 3 rows here for the cuff where you do front post and back post half double crochets. And that's how you're going to make the second leg. So go ahead and finish the second leg, and then I'll come back and show you the finished baby pants, and I will also give you the finished measurements. I finished making the second leg. I did it exactly in the same way how I showed you with the first leg. So the baby pants are done, and this is how they look. Now I'm going to show you how to close this gap that's between the legs. So to do this, we're going to go here on the inside of the baby pants, and we're going to pull one of the tail ends of the yarn that was left from when we did the legs. I recommend you leave these pretty long. I forgot to mention this as we were making the legs, so I'm going to use what I have. I have 2 tail ends, so I'm going to start here on this side, and I'm going to close these first couple of stitches. If I have enough yarn, then I'll close the whole thing. So with a yarn needle, we're going to go here. We're going to find these stitches for the 4 fans that we did. We did 2 here on this side and 2 here on this side. So we're going to try to match the stitches for these fans. Here at the end, just tie a knot. Like this. There. Now let's see how it looks. Yes, perfect. That looks pretty good. It's closed. Now you can just hide all of these ends here on the inside. I already did for most of my baby pants. So this part here is done, and that's how it looks. So the baby pants are finished. Now here you can weave a ribbon through. I did a chain instead. This is about 150 chains. You can make it shorter or longer. I just did it long enough so that it goes around the waist, and then I just tied a little bow here in the center. And that's all I did. So the baby pants are all done. Now let me give you the finished measurements. Okay, so the total length from the top of the waist to the end here of the leg, it's measuring about 29 centimeters, which is about 11.5 inches. From the crotch to the end of the leg, it's measuring about 13.5 centimeters, which is about 5.25 inches. From the waist to the crotch here, it's measuring about 15.5 centimeters, which is about 6 inches. Now the leg width, just the top, it's measuring about 10 centimeters, which is about 4 inches. The waist, just the top, it's measuring about 20 centimeters, which is about 8 inches. And the hip, just the top, it's measuring about 21 centimeters, which is about 8.25 inches. So based on these measurements, these little pants are for baby boys and girls between 0 and 3 months. Now you can make them smaller or bigger using a smaller or bigger hook size. In the information box, I'll go ahead and leave you that information. You can make it from a newborn size and up to 6 to 12 months. Now you can also make the baby pants from a newborn size and up to 24 months, following the same pattern but using your own measurements or measurements that I'm going to leave in the information box. So here's the finished pants. This is the back side, and these are the legs. Now for the 0 to 3 month size, I used a total of 90 grams, 76 grams in blue, and about 14 grams in white. Depending on the size that you make, you may need less or more. So these little pants were made to match this little sweater. This is the Leo Snowdrop Baby Cardigan and the Leo Snowdrop Baby Hat. I already have the tutorial for the baby blanket. It's the Snowdrop Baby Blanket version 2. There is a first version. That one has a shorter border. I'll leave all of those tutorials in the information box as well. And I will also leave the links to my Etsy shop for all of these patterns since they're all available there as well. Okay, so this was today's tutorial. I hope you like it. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.